Yo dudes, this is Getsu, and today we are messing up Path of Exile, an isometric Borderlands type of game that's all about smashing mobs, hoarding loot, and turning into a walking screen clearing natural disaster. But recently, they added something new: mercenaries, hireable help, budget friends, employees with no rights. So I set out to answer a question absolutely nobody asked, but I'm doing it anyway. Can you beat Path of Exile using only mercenaries? In case you didn't pay attention in kindergarten, I should clarify, by beat Path of Exile, I mean the campaign, not the endgame, not Uber Duper Elder, just the core storyline. I have limits, they're low, but they're there, like a limbo bar. Obviously, I'm playing solo, self-found, no trading with anyone. I'll only use what I find. I think any class would work here, but I picked the Templar, mostly because he looked like he'd seen some things, doesn't believe in pants, and also because I hoped his passive tree would help buff my hired help, aiding me in outsourcing my responsibilities. First real challenge, naming myself. After a few failed attempts, I settled on verbal massacre. It's awful, I know, but it was available. So I won. The game starts with me being born in Twilight Strand, wet and confused. I picked up a stick off the ground, the other survivor tells me not to feed the zombies, then doesn't follow his own advice. I beat the rotting piñata, and a skill bursts from the stinker like an unsolicited opinion. I ignore everyone on the way to Hillock, the bouncer, and use my new skill to grind him out of his decomposing misery. Doesn't count. No mercs yet. I checked with the League of extremely specific challenges. There's no way around this fight. Skipping through Lionized Watch, I got my reward for sending Hillock's life into a dead end, and ignored the rest. That's how I handle social events too. Out to the coast I went, refusing to attack most of the things asking for it. Made my way to mudflats, tried sneaking around like a pacifist rat in tax season, but the Roadrunner rejects had affinity for fannies. Eventually I found the mercenary I was looking for. Unfortunately, so did the screeching murder of mobs behind me. New plan, go the other way. Didn't work. Plan C, forcefully euthanize everyone. I didn't want to, I had ideals, but ideals are just breakable bones for smarter men. Now I've got silver chicken blood on my hands. That's definitely not sanitary. Next came Vola's recruitment duel. I had her smitten with my skills, forced her to serve me for exposure, and the real game began. The cool thing is, you can give equipment to your hired goons. I slapped an iron ring on her finger for damage, also for style points. She's a combatant, not a model. I know, but it's good to multitask in this economy. At first, she seemed powerful, like she had LinkedIn profile with inspirational quotes and everything. I visited the town to pick up Rejuvenation Totem, then entered the submerged passage overconfident as heck, where the welcoming committee deleted Vola faster than my browser history. Now she's gone and allergic to this zone, unless I re-roll it. We began our training arc. First target, Fire Fury at the coast. She's a living proof that anybody who uses fire skills has anger issues. Easy win. She dropped shoes and a belt. Vola became slightly more powerful and slightly more fashionable. And just to make sure I don't attack anything, I even changed my default attack to just movement. Following that, we visited Tidal Island, shanked Hailrake for his meds, and exchanged them for a bottle of G Fuel, and used it to put a pep back in my step. While cleaning the latrines, Blue Chicken Bone shredded Vola like an expired Clarence cheese. Don't feed chicken bones to your dog. The zone boss, some necromancer guy with no LinkedIn, took forever to die. Managing Vola was harder than the boss. I had to manually heal her with the recall skill like an overworked parent at a birthday party. The real challenge was my attention span. Once all the monsters got endgamed, Dogley rewarded me with toilet paper. Naturally, I ate it, no regrets. Back in the submerged passage again, I found a new merc to test drive. He sucked, I didn't keep him past the trial period. Back to Vola, except now she's got trust issues and refuses to help unless I recreate the instance again. Love that for me. Third time's not that different, or how did it go again? I wasn't paying attention and Mrs. Crackpot ran off again, possibly to unionize. I brute forced my way to the ledge using the Ulrich tactic. It's the one where you keep your hands down, hit the waypoint, use the previously deployed portal as a shortcut. Yes, I plan ahead occasionally, and rushed into the flooded depths, where Vola peppered a giant meal wrapped in a shell with arrows. It was a surprisingly easy fight. He, it, that thing, dropped an essence of greed, which I used to buff a quiver, and gave it to Vola. She didn't say thank you. Not that I expected gratitude from someone named after a fantasy salad. Back in town, Dogley handed me a rare candy, and I crammed it into my passive tree like a desperate bodybuilder on cheat day.
Just what I needed. More raid class filth.
Oh, that's me. I'm break class filth. And just when I needed someone to catch these hands. And when I say hands, I mean arrows. I choose you, Mrs. Crackpot. Go on. Teach him the ancient art of shutting up. He soon resembled a reverse porcupine. And we mugged him for a chromatic orb. Justice. Moment later, Vola decided to rage quit as we fought the giant glowstick skeleton and his goobers. Out of attacks, I ignored everything else and sprinted for the finish line like I had wheels strapped to my cheeks. Underneath the prison debris, I had a chilling fight with chatters, inspected the traps in the architectural equivalent of a prank, and when a mercenary called me weak, we made him eat dirt and yoinked his hat, which was worth its weight on the ground where I left it. Right before upper prison, a random group of mobs drove my useless sniper off again. But they couldn't stop me from running off like haunted shopping cart. Lady Luck flashed me, and I walked away with a fresh bottle of skooma from a secret room. Did you know Warden's quarters shares the same area code as upper prison? Because I didn't, Vola bailed right before I reached it, then refused to join me. Looking back, I didn't need to re-roll over prison, just reached the top bunk. After crawling back like a snail uphill in molasses, we reached the Warden, who immediately one-shotted Vola. Great. Only then did I realize my first merc was still level 4. Apparently, mercs don't level up like in Diablo 2. I felt betrayed. Mostly stupid, definitely both. Back in prison again, I went shopping for a new sniper, found one with a black heart ring, and thought, this is it. Paid a small fortune for the duel. Last, might as well had lit the money on fire and pissed on it. Tried rescuing a level 6 merc at the ledge. I've never seen Vola lose that fast. She basically uninstalled herself. Back in the stinky caves, I adopted a new sniper, Vexia. Basically my merc leveled up from 4 to 5. I wasn't throwing a parade. Fueled by questionable judgment, we took on Brutus the Incredible again. At first it was going great, but then he almost one-shot my merc again. I healed her with my totem like my credit card info depended on it. Good thing too, he had another punch locked and loaded. My heart forgot to do a couple of beats, but we won in the end, and I could breathe again, if only a little. As for my reward, Dogley tossed me a vitality aura. I also grabbed a precision aura, which boosts accuracy and crit chance. As soon as I get some dex, I'll be wearing that like it's prom night and the spotlight's all mine. At Prisoner's Gate, I run into a merc rocking a quill rain, basically the medieval equivalent of an UC duct tape to a harp. Naturally, we borrowed it permanently. Just as I was about to move on, Fire discreet something about me not meeting the level requirement for the next area. She's just looking out for me. Beneath the shipwrecks, I found a sick helmet, which was great, because my head was getting cold from all the thinking I wasn't doing. While fighting a sentient blob of sewage, I fished a magic lamp out of a biodegradable trash bag, gave it to Fairgraves, who repaid me by unleashing his glowstick skeleton crew. We sent them to their next rave, the afterlife. I stopped by town to pick up Enduring Cry, to scream the pain away, then got a rare candy from the rapping lunatic. The way forward is rarely linear or simple. Many mostly annoying minutes are spent plowing the way forward through mobs that exist solely to make you question your build. I say this because my sniper bailed on me mid-act boss and I had to do it all again. Silver lining? I found a jet flask from a chest, and that's when I profoundly realized mana potions are pointless for me since I don't attack anything. So I decided to get tactical. Started exiling merc types I don't want, thinning the herd. Should have done that hours ago. But hindsight is for people like me who don't read the tooltips. Eventually I found a blade ambusher. Gave him a shot. He deserves to get his picture on a lunchbox for his performance. Merveil the acting boss. She didn't stand a chance. Got shredded by traps like she was on an infomercial for medieval bear repellent. Oh look, an Act 2 in an isometric Borderlands type game that isn't a desert. I love that for this game. Something I agree with Anakin. Now, I'm not going to bother you every time I pick up a new mercenary, unless it's a new type, or they are carrying something shiny enough to distract my survival instinct. Next target, Chamber of Sins. Level 1 is packed with sewer zombies who release a fragrant puff of death upon expiration. Biological warfare at its laziest. On the second level, I spelunked into one of those pocket-sized labyrinths. At the end, we fought an enemy that looked like Chrysalid from XCOM, but hit like mutant berserker on energy drinks. Well, usually. I'm still all in on defense. My goal is to become the world's angriest speed bump. Back in the encampment, I picked up 2 new skills, Arctic Armor and Tempest Shield, for more defense. Yes, Tempest Shield does damage, but only when the enemies hit me, and I block it at a very low price of a minimal chance. So technically, they're hitting themselves. I call it reverse parenting. On the broken bridge, Einhar showed up. If I accept his quest, he'll follow me around and do damage. Unacceptable. This is a solo self-found existential crisis, not a team sport. I tried avoiding the monster hunt targets, but they stuck to me like ticks in tar. And if I so much as sneezed on one, Einhar would kick down the door with Pokemon entrance animation. So I quickly quit to lock in screen and re-rolled the area. Sometimes progress means taking 2 steps back and reinventing reality. Next up, 3 bandit dogs of Christmas past. One is stupid, one is strong, and one is might. You can side with one for a special reward, or you can take them all out for a skill point. I often choose the skill point, because I believe in equality through violence. Then came the spider hole. Every ARPG has one. It's a rite of passage. It's where my sniper abandoned me again. Probably got tired of surfing the web, so I switched back to the drooling trapslinger with 1,000 yards there. The boss border took so long to snuff out, I almost reached terminal boredom. I got a spike from it, which I used to shank a botanical gate to open a new metaphorical door. Inside some ancient, deeply unwelcoming ruins. Even my bold ambusher tapped out. I went shopping for a new violent freelancer, but after 5 minutes of evaluating their resumes, I decided none of them met my very low standards. Back into the darkness I went, pushed a piece of ancient modern art out of the way, which somehow triggered a forever night. Why? Don't ask me. I don't know why I'm doing any of this. All I know is I must kill. In the northern forest, guess who showed up again? Einhar. This time I risked it and made a break for it like a cat chasing a laser pointer. Inside an ancient pyramid, I robbed a sniper for her quiver, slugged through multiple levels of this historical funhouse, only to waste 3 minutes of my life I'll never get back against the acting boss, because my poop slinger pissed out halfway. Indescribable joy coursed through my heart as I braced for yet another multi-layered potholing adventure. On the way, I picked up a new sniper to suffer alongside me. And you know what? She was strong. And here I thought snipers couldn't hold a candle to those blade ambushers. Shows what I know. I was ready and, dare I say, excited to grab my first aura reservation mastery. But after a good long hard think, I realized it wouldn't do a darn thing for me. Disappointed! Still, insert name here, my new sniper waifu absolutely bodied the Act 2 boss, and for a fleeting moment, I felt something like joy swelling in the void left behind by my lack of pants. Act 3 rolled in like the next semester. Same stress, new problems, and sure enough, Einhar was there, waiting. Again, the man's persistence is impressive. In the same way Plague build-up is impressive. But then, I remembered that which I forgot, the crypt. It had a miniature maze that needed a woman's touch. 3 out of 6 trials complete. Progress. Also remembered the baby gate piety slapped across the path from Western Forest back to Act 1. I relieved her guards of duty and opened it like a pack of bacon. Bestel handed another rare candy for that. Where is he hiding those things? And more importantly, how many has he eaten? On my way to City of Zaun, we slapped a mercenary for his unique ring. Not because we needed it, just because we could. Power move. Then I saved Clarissa from a group of soldiers. She said she didn't mean to sound ungrateful, but she didn't say thanks either. Instead, she sent me to fetch his boyfriend Tolman from the crematorium. Nothing says romance like a corpse run. What a walk on coals that was, figuratively and literally. A pocket-sized gauntlet in the area added insult to the second-degree burn injury. When we found Tolman, Piety was trying to jumpstart him with electricity. We hopped in to help, but no matter what we did, the man stayed offline. I grabbed Tolman's bracelet, brought it back to Clarissa, who thanked us with keys to the sewer. Yup, that was my reward. An invitation to floss myself. She's clearly processing grief by punishing the innocent. And there I was, wading through the waste pipes. Splendid. The break-last version of a spa day. We met Cassia down there too. She was busy pumping sewage rooms. Gross. She asked for help defending her contraption. We failed that mission so hard I think the monsters felt bad for us. At the marketplace, we detoured through the catacombs to go through another mini-trial. Grabbed the thingamabob at the battlefront and Taumeric sulfite at the docks. Brought the pieces to Lady Dialla, who paid me with a Molotov cocktail that allowed me to burn an undead hemorrhoid blocking the path forward. In the Ebony Barracks, My lovely companion bailed on me. Again, then we challenge another bad person who's done bad things. At this point I'm used to getting maced in the face on a spiritual level. It's been a while now, but I swapped my Tempest Shield for a Lightning Aura. Less defense for me, but more zap-zap for waifu. I've also started using curses to verbally massage enemies into exposing vulnerabilities. Emotional damage doesn't count, totally legal. After taking out Ronnie Coleman inside the Lunatic Temple, Piety challenged me into a friendly spa to make sure I'm ready for the trials ahead. Speaking of which, I cleared the final mini-maze in the Imperial Gardens, failed another Cassia mission for good luck, and then took on Izaro at the Trial of Ascendancy. I chose Radiant Fate from the Guardian Tree as my reward. This perk allows me to grant armor and energy shield to my allies, based on how much of my mana is reserved, which, for me, is basically all of it. Back in the Imperial Gardens, we stopped to say hello to Cassia. She just doesn't learn her lesson, and neither do I. From there, we scaled the Scepter of God, a multi-layered stone cake filled with mild inconveniences, and took on the topper, Dominus. The guy thinks he's a god, but his minions hit harder than he does. Right before signing out, he pulled the classic beef jerky mantis transformation. He somehow got less threatening. Press out of Act 3, glistening in Dominus's innards. We took on a mercenary with frost traps. I couldn't help but notice how complacent we've become when we don't even bother with dodging anymore. Fighting the Aqueduct Seagull reminded me just how much I despise face-based fights designed by a sadist with a stopwatch. They are not challenging, but interactive loading screens. Welcome to Highgate, a town built on an active volcano by people who probably think self-preservation is just a cute word combo. I did my best to try and focus on the lore, so at least one of us might have an idea of what's going on. It's not going to be me. As a minion enjoyer, I've noticed that anytime a time-sensitive mission like a Legion or Cassia starts, my summons immediately go on a Union break. Performance drops by 50%, morale plummets, and one of them starts smoking in the corner. Is it just me? Anyway, we cancelled Wol's subscription to Immortality down in the Glowing Sea, wiped his banner, and used it as moral support to sweet talk a sealed mine entrance open. Communication is key after all. To my surprise, the Zubats inside screech like budget headset feedback. I've had it with these Monday to Friday caves that smell of excrement, are filled to the brim with mutated mole people, and rocks that explode for attention. Mine's level 2 were a solid rerun. Expectations were met. Now don't hold your breath, but we are going to circle back here later. Deeper in, I found a new, improved waifu. Toxicologists have become my new favorite jam. Now if I didn't explain what toxicologists are, this would be a pretty terrible video. At the end of level 3, we finally reached a waypoint, and I could breathe easy knowing that I didn't have to plow through everything again should my companion suddenly activate her vacation days without notice. Lady Diala was also present. Why she couldn't portal us in here with her? Beats me, but she's getting what's coming to her, don't you worry. To get through the next wall, I needed to power your mom's toy. For that, I needed to power walk through fire again, and snatch an eyeball from Kaum in the middle of his wet lava dream. Inside the overly dramatic murder arena, our complacency finally bit us in the butt. I had to reroll the area 3 times before I got one without Einhard trying to self-insert into my story, like an unwanted fanfic author. The rest showed the poor man's gladiator and rich man's disappointment. He made me fight through 4 time-wasting phases, where he just kneels dramatically and does nothing. Did I mention yet that I hate it when bosses do this? I did? Good. Let the record show I still mean it. My only comfort was ripping his eye out of his still screaming skull. We blended the eyeballs into a soup and loaded it into the giant, suspiciously shaped, vibrating laser pen and blasted it through the wall like an aggressive prostate exam. Lady D aged 60 years before my eyes. She just couldn't hand me the reward then and there. No, I had to go back to town to get it. Please, waste more of my time. I insist. I didn't even want the reward. I just wanted to clear my sidebar. The next area was like the deepest layer of Dante's chili lasagna. A boring, veiny meat tunnel, like the devil's butthole, made me question the mistakes that led me here. At the end of Meat World, Fire D, dressed like a Hellraiser Barbie, demanded a spar again. She did her best to mimic the perils ahead, and suddenly reminded me that dodging can be a good idea. Before reaching the final act of Act 4, I needed to bring down the 3 ghosts of Christmas. I did this joke already. First Guardian, Malachai. He thinks he's an artist, so we review bumped him off the platform. Second Guardian, Chevronne, almost shocked me to death with her Doctor Who Lady Cassandra stretch face looking ass, but with less brain. The last of the 3 was your mom. Then came the main event, Malachai. He ejected himself from the floor sphincter like the turd he is. Piety was there helping me in defeating his crusty butt. Then heroically sacrificed herself to push us into phase 2, like a true hero. Malachai himself wasn't much to write to you about. The 3.5 minutes it took me to beat him felt incomparably longer than it was. From a butthole he came, and into a butthole he returned. Rest in pieces, Meat Pope. Oh, and before skipping to the next act, I remembered I forgot to save Deseret back in Mines 2. After a long and a painful backtrack, I rescued her from a centaur with separation issues and got a skill point for my troubles. Leaving Highgate behind, I crossed the snowy desert on my way to Act 5. The locals there hit harder than the previous assortment of monsters. The environment was colder, and misery was more refined. At the end of the trail, I discovered some ancient machinery, and as you do with suspicious technology, I terminated my way into the intern pens. Thankfully, I had clothes on, though I was still pantless. Baby steps. In the free labor market, I made a new kind of mercenary. Without thinking, I challenged him to a duel. Turns out he could summon Wall, and we got our collective buttocks gift wrapped and returned to sender. Lesson learned. Read the fine print before throwing hands. At the Vault Overseer's Tower, which is this act's idea of a town, Vilenta asked me to dig up something called a miasm meter from the control blocks. No idea what it is. She can shove it for all I care. I traded it for a skill point and moved on with my life. To exit the area, we beat up Justicar Casticus, ripped out his eyeballs. That's just what we do now. Rogue Exile, rip out the eyeballs. Mid-boss, eyeballs. Dawn up, what's your 6? My waifu ditched me in the middle of Oriya Square, which led me to a slow, lonely jog forward. For fun, I challenged a random merc to a duel, then left him fuming on his own. I used Casticus's eyeballs to cheat my way through a biometric scanner. Retina security is no match for serial violence. Please, allow me to introduce you to Utula. Keep him in mind. I won't remind you again. There's going to be a quiz later. In the temple courts, we beat up another idiot for hire for his unique gloves. Didn't need them. I just collect unique items, I decided. It was either that or decorative rocks. I found a merc with an interesting set of skills. Paid him up front. Might as well have lost the gold and drop-kicked the toilet. The scars from elemental damage kept piling up scabs like shell fungi. So I swapped out Arctic armor for purity of elements, which boost team's morale, not just mine. Character development, everyone. With my waifu underperforming, I started re-rolling the area like I was browsing Tinder for emotional support. She got KO'd again, and I was forced to slowly crawl forward like a budget tank missing 2 wheels. If your mercenary dies in the woods and no one recalls them, did they ever truly serve? Eventually, I found Raquella the kineticist, Rhyme Lord. Apparently, I don't judge. She joined the team. She was fine. But the moment I activated Flame Link, she exploded in a good way. By the way, don't ask about my build. Any random guide you can find online is going to outperform the mess I've created. Now remember how much I hate phased bosses. Good news! High Templar Avarius is the crown prince of delayed gratification. He also turns into an adult cherub complete with a glow-up, and then he does the mob waiting room experience 2 more times. I'm having so much fun eating drywall right now. My new waifu burned his face into a blistered marshmallow at an amazing speed. Then Sin, our new bestie, Goomba stomped him like a license scripted.
I am Sin, the Forgotten One. Would that humanity could forget all of my kind.
God, I love this guy. I'd let him narrate my funeral and hoard him just to say thanks. On the way backtrack, we met Bannon, our new confused friend. The Templar courts got rebranded into Torch courts. I can never escape the time boot PTSD, can I? Look who we found here. Utula. Remember him? Yeah, he became a bad guy. Not a very impressive one though. It may have taken me over 100 encounters before I learned his name. And even then, it felt optional. Next up, the Reliquary, where we were tasked with collecting body parts from 3 gods like pieces of exodia, just a little light weekend scavenging of cosmic meat with arguable existence. Don't ask why. There was lore next to the body parts, but I fell asleep halfway through a sentence. It's a new record for me. Raiding the ossuary, a merc on his way to exile said,
This will be easier if you hold still.
I disagree, almost died, and the fact that my partner went for a smoke break mid-fight didn't help. We got another banner for our trouble, and more importantly, another quote from Sin.
An empire is nothing more than a standard, pitched in the naked earth.
On our way to the Act 5 climax, banshees repeatedly Zubat blasted my face. It was nostalgic, in a traumatic kind of way. I was so ready to end this capture the flag game. At the cathedral apex, I buried the banner so deep in stone that whoever pulls it out next is legally the king of a riot, Kitava. The forever bulking meatloaf wouldn't be a Path of Exile boss if she, he, it didn't have multiple faces, and each one had a cooldown long enough to grill a sandwich. I love waiting. It's my favorite mechanic. More games should include loading screens between punches. After the 4th round, Kitava finally connected the dots, blasts my banner to bits, and nukes my elemental resistance like a sore loser. Cool, thanks. It was all worth it though, because I got princess carried by Sin, who then coated me in his thick, creamy ASMR voice. After that, I talked to Lily Roth, who promised to take me to Act 6. She made it very clear she's not doing it because she likes me or anything. A baka. On the other side, Lily made sure I paid her back. And what did she want? Community service. Cleaning the beach. Then after all that, she paid me a bonus. She's just a sweetie wrapped in a barbed wire, isn't she? When I have the flame link casted on my merc, she will take my health bar with her if she goes down. That's cool! Luckily it doesn't work the other way. Back on Tidal Island, again, this time to fetch a scroll of Bestel's best rhymes. Someone read his rapping manuscript and cried so much in cringe that the puddle of tears gained sentience out of resentment and tried to prevent the artistic atrocity from ever reaching humanity again, until the last ripple. I forgot to mention this, but the Lionized Watch had officially lost its only redeeming quality. Nessa's been stolen, but I will be her knight in mooning armor. Out and about looking for her, I did my patented damage-dodging interpretive dance against the dishonored queen. Yeah, I bet she felt dishonored. She dropped an eyeball, yup, still doing that, and then we found Nessa. She's a mermaid now, because reasons. Predictably, I used the eyeball to cheat another biometric scanner. Next, we challenged Tukohama, the god of latrines. Like most bosses, he's not hard, just slow and annoying. Like trying to explain email to your grandpa during a thunderstorm. The real challenge was convincing my merc to hit the Wi-Fi towers that enabled his divine bubble wrap. She eventually took them out by collateral damage. After the big salami man finally bit the dust, Sin dropped by, slurped up his soul, and stuffed it in my god so trophy cabinet. Those of you with attention for details may have noticed that we are strolling through all the acts again. This also holds true for the labyrinths of ascendancy. Yup, we're going there again. Awesome. Overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. Oh!
Good help is so hard to find.
Good help is so obvious too. At the top of the prison tower, we got a rematch against Brutus the Incredible. This time, he brought his mom. Stretchy face. I tried to bond with Brutus while the girls drew hands. Offered him beer. He didn't even blink. Such a stoic character. After eating pain for a while, the two became one in front of our eyes. A wildly inappropriate PDA. Remainder of the fight wasn't anything noteworthy, but the usual battle of patience. On our way to hunt the next god, we met Nessa again. She does this annoying thing where she doesn't finish her last sentence. Yeah, okay, don't finish what you say. People who do that are... Next, we took on the greatest of all time among gods. The soul-ruminating moron melted like ice cream on fuming concrete under the wrath of my new Wither Touch waifu. My reward was listening to Bestel's horrifying rap musings.
Through the bleating flock, our exile did wade, over hoof and horn and goat blood spray.
Yeah, it's not Rap God, but it's up there with the greatest, for sure. Around where Act 2 used to be, we raided Rislatha, the bug goddess, to the ground. Not out of hatred, just habit. Her fight actually wasn't bad. She digs around a bit like she's late for her own funeral, but doesn't waste your time. You know what they say, you can't have a funeral without fun. Love that for her. Go insert name here, defeat my enemies for me. Done. In a fit of chronic kleptomania, I previously accidentally brushed up against some rogue markers, so I detoured to a heist to purge that clutter off my UI before it spread. Inside caverns of anger. Yes, it's still called that. No, I don't know why the rocks are still mad. I picked up a black flag. That's right, capture the flag is not over yet. Then tuned in to Nessa failing to finish another paragraph. We used the flag to materialize Veilam Wrath. Man pulled out the entire Sailor's Lar compendium before offering me a ride. We set sail for Bikini Bottom's forgotten concept art, where I did my best to avoid a skin-deep connection inside a mass beat of Saki, Lovecraft rejects. Nessa, against all odds, finally finished the thought, proud of her, and together, my companion put an end to Mr. Crab's ketamine binge. My reward, another chat with Sin's honey drip voice, followed by another boat ride to somewhere worse. We are back in the jungle, and this time, it's night time, so you know it's legally distinct. I picked up a silver locket and handed it to my newest trauma-bonded friend in exchange for a flask I didn't ask for, don't need, and will never use. A perfect trade. At the crossroads, I ran into a Farland Reverend. I think he was the kind of guy who could summon Vol back in Act 5. Not this version though. Still, I was curious. 2 minutes of running in circles and screaming later, we were besties. In the crypt, I face-tanked my way through traps in yet another mini-lab, and picked up Malachai's map. That's right, he didn't learn his lesson the first time either. Some things don't change. The Chamber of Sins is like Tupperware for the rotten gym socks. That's where we met Silk. He's something. Bugcatcher energy, theater kid vibes. You'll see. I used Malachai's map and entered his time-wound fever dream. The fight against him took so long. I started checking for turn-based combat menus. Eventually, he melted. I scooped up the black venom left behind, handed it over to Silk for a key, which I used to open a metaphorical door, ow 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 ow, and then a wall, but never a real door. A skeleton key for real fake doors. Anyway, back to the usual. Every duel I pick with free range interns now hurts like tax audit. Gone are the days I could smugly thank their tantrums while eating cereal. Next up, Monkey Cult Country. We fought the Divine Cell Tower Ralakesh. Our old friend Cruz the Drool Bucket showed up. We had the kind of spar where one of us dies. A true trust-building exercise. Then it was time for fetch quests. We collected fireflies in the Dread Ticket, beat up Mother Bear for her porridge, whirled through Walled City, and gave the bag of glowbugs to Yina. That's when she enthusiastically revealed her persona. And she was worried I'd be scared. Look at that. It's a fox. Yeah, I don't give 2 fucks about that. Then, another spider cave. Because the game loves trauma and continuity. Silk introduced us to his blushing bride, Arakali, a spider mega evolution. Okay dude, eventually Arakali got tired of our spell-flavored harassment and grabbed Silk, turning him into a hood ornament. I don't get their love, but I respect it. He probably didn't have enough gym badges to control her anyway. I had to eat painless humble pie at least twice, garnished with insults from my companion.
You are unworthy.
Before I ceased standing in front of the death beams, I'm the boss of my own breakdowns. But in the end, we helped Arakali achieve the ultimate game over. With that, Yina unfurled herself, and the way Act 8 was opened like a door that does exist. Einhar showed up again, desperate to make a friend like a middle schooler in a gas mask and anime shirt. I rewrote the area on site, sanitized it. I made my way back to San. The place had a nice green glow now, cozy Chernobyl bloom. Apparently, the sewers were clogged worse than a Reddit thread after a hot take. Guess where we are going? To the labyrinth! Bet you didn't see that twist coming. Pulling an M. Night here. I'll spare you the footage of me testing traps with my body and skip through this struggle bus. You already know I'm not a big fan of the labyrinth. I've done it so many times. I'm often invited to join the monsters to the water cooler on breaks. I snagged Isaru's key. He won't miss it. Probably can't. He's on the floor now. I picked Unwavering Faith as my next ascendancy skill, increasing my aura economy by 50%, which let me cram another aura into the pain machine. Took me longer than I'd like to admit to remember to turn it on. Anyway, if your first guess was we're going into the sewers again, you guessed right. I love games where the primary emotion is damp fatigue. Before I could eject myself out of this buttholing turned colonoscopy like a turbo turd, I had to deal with Doedre, a Nurgle acolyte with the voice of a stuffed train. She hurled curses at me like a bitter egg swinging vinyls, and I got every single one. Didn't even notice. Even Sin recoiled at the taste of her sluggy soul. Back in San, the green filter was gone. Boo, I liked green. Because I helped Clarissa once, she now assumes I'm emotionally available. Yes, because that's how that works. Ma'am, I'm a war criminal with a god complex. I don't do group projects. What am I gonna get paid this time? Keys to the bin? I put her quest in the mental drawer labeled eventually and wandered off to the bathhouse. Then we blacklisted some nature's little mistakes from the census in High Gardens and turned YOLO, the baby's first 3D model-looking god of broken kaleidoscope, into another notch in my trophy cabinet. Having hard time learning my lesson, I had an intimate brush with death against the mercenary, but don't worry, part of the environment became a pivotal pillar in my winning strategy. Different league mechanics often tried to distract me from my goals, but I did my damn best to avoid having those responsibilities in my UI. The Lunaris Temple, while less red than last time, was just as fun as snacking on the sidewalk chalk I used to draw the outlines for the speed bumps. The miniboss had a big red health bar. That means we banish her into the Shadow Realm. For the trouble, we got a moon orb, which is half the key to exiting this act. Probably an eyeball too. That's the running theme. Out at the docks, we picked an Ankh of Eternity and handed it to Clarissa, who tried to revive Tolman with it. Shockingly, it did not go well. The blaze turned into the aftermath of a failed rave. It's not all bad. At least she finally gave me something useful. Progress. From there, we followed the breadcrumbs through the crane gate, cleared out some gemlins with a severe case of red outlightitis, and raided the Solaris Temple for, yes, another eyeball. We stuck the 2 peepers into the scanner, waking up the 2 sentry bots. Then we had a long and hearty debate about whether or not we should be allowed into Act 9. My argument was mostly running in circles and yelling la 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 I can't hear you, until they gave up and died from exhaustion. Now their souls are mounted on my wall, tasteful. I decided to make a short detour and wandered into a wall-side area. For sport, it had a red filter over it, which predictably upset me on a molecular level. I stopped to bully a mercenary, but he swiftly sent my hired help into a PTO. Luckily, this area didn't have a bouncer, so I slipped into town without further incident. Next, we slittered through the snowy mountains again, took a few scenic lifts down, and somehow ended up in a desert. I've played enough Minecraft to not let it bother me. We participated in a mummy rally and walked away with a storm blade as our prize. No questions asked. Made a pit stop at Sulfur Swamps to duel a lizard chicken, this universe's version of a basilisk. I handed the basilisk bladder to Sin and traded the Stormblade for a bottled storm, which I used to unlock a door that was made out of a sandstorm. What does this world have against normal doors? At the end of Anakin's nightmare, we dropped into a sand pit and challenged Sakari, queen of wasting my time. She started with a phase where you slow walk through a sand corridor of internal screaming. It lasted about as long as taking down any other boss. Also, you have to walk in her pace and activate those sad tail swings. But wait, there's more. She also toggles god mode and bounces up and down in the sand. In my head, this part comes with dolphin noises, and I refuse to stop imagining them. It's called coping, Susan. Shakari was Sin's daughter, by the way, but that's considerably less important than my complaints. I spent a good while wondering which part of her body is the main body, the woman growing out of her tail, or the scorpion she's welded to. Feeling sand seasoned enough, we left her to exfoliate in peace.
Man, medieval Roombas were so freaking aggressive.
At the quarry, we forcibly ejected Sin's wife from the Matrix 2. Big day for him.
My love.
While greasing some elbows in the refinery, I got absolutely obliterated by Yun's assassins. There was just no avoiding them, but that activated my trap card. Assassins don't strike twice at the same target, that's a law. Then came General Anus, who told me I make a terrible conductor. I have no future in the musical industry. After that, it was time to make a choice. Who to choose as the ruler of High Gate? Tasuni was an option, but I always vote for Irasha, who pressed her way boobily onto the throne with confidence. To unseal the scab floor sphincter, Sin casually rubbed the basilic bladder and tartan powder together to burn open the devil's butthole with that cursed smoothie. Inside, we faced the 3 ghosts of dumbass past, who fused together to become the depraved trinity, a Power Rangers moment. Weirdly, they were easier to beat as 1 than as 3, which makes sense. Merge 3 people together suddenly, and you get the coordination of a drunk octopus with stage fright. Once they face planted into the void, the walls closed in, and I woke up in a pile of excrement with the rest of the waste, face down in hot failure stew. What, is it Wednesday already? Waylam showed up and roasted me for the smell. Glad to see you too, buddy. The Roth family shipped me to Act 10 in a sealed container. My brain doesn't need oxygen anymore with this momentum. We kicked things off by saving our old, confused grandfather, Bannon, from the cathedral apex. His lord only knows why he was there. At the control box, we took down Vilenta. She must have injected the mice meter somewhere, since she was dressed evil now. Her master strategy was flying around like a bomber and wasting everyone's time. Then we stopped at the bone pits to pick up an elixir of Alu for Waylam. Apparently smelling like a crypt wasn't doing him any favors with the ladies. Oh yeah, he's undead. Don't worry, I cracked the bottle before handing it to him. No need to thank me, ladies. Next, it was time for Avarius Redux, remixed, recycled, to go back to the big dumpster in the sky. I needed his stuff to reboot Innocence, our favorite adult cherub. Whatever, just don't make me watch his fight again. I handed the stick to Bannon, and with its power, his soul got grilled inside out, and boof, out came Innocence, like an aggressive fart. Honestly, I expected more of a spectacle. After that, the glow stick Jesus used the power of anime to open a door for me. Skipping through the feeding troughs, I got ambushed again by Jun's assassins, but this time I was ready. And by ready I mean somehow still breathing. This is it. It all came down to this moment, to finally put an end to Kitava. With sin and innocence, together, we will save humankind. Kitava was the longest boss fight so far, and rightfully so, considering the annoying amount of time he takes with his phases. His X-phase looks stupid too. He, she, it, that thing. Sometimes blankets the whole arena on fire. I felt like a cat doing an involuntary interpretive dance on a hot roof. Dignity didn't survive this act, but then again, we were never close. The fight ended when my totally voluntary help performed a magical heart surgery/exorcism and turned Kitava's ticker into a twitching voodoo stress toy. Then we fade to black. I woke up in my shack by the beach. Sun was shining, no gods, no blood, just me, a hangover, and the crushing suspicion that everything might have been a dream. And I beat Path of Exile using only mercenaries. That's it for this time, folks. Do the engagement things to help me out. Tell me in the comments what I could have done better, or if you have other challenges/games for me to play. Thanks for watching, see you next time, take care now, bye bye then, have a wonderful day.